chances are you've heard the word Zionism thrown around a lot recently. In the headlines, online arguments, maybe even in conversations that you weren't expecting. But what does it actually mean? In this 4-part series, I'm going to try to explain Zionism to you, starting with a brief introduction to Zionism and its ancient roots, before then looking at the situation in Europe in the late 19th century that drew some Jews to the idea of having their own homeland. In part 3, I'll talk about some of the important people that helped Zionism come into existence. And then, in part 4, I will look at how Zionism became a movement and the waves of immigration to the region of Palestine in the early 20th century. But before we begin, I wanted to let you guys know that I have a membership. If you sign up, you get early access to the next episode in the series. Check it out, it costs the price of a cup of coffee. There's a link in the description and in my comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a new upload. To really understand the idea of Zionism, we've got to block out the modern noise and scroll back in time to understand the historical situation. At the moment, people willingly or accidentally conflate criticisms of the idea of Zionism with criticisms of the policies of the Israeli state. I, for one, appreciate that there is some overlap between these two criticisms, but also major differences. To avoid controversy, this is not a series about the establishment of the Israeli state or Israeli state politics. This series is about the historical timeline which made Zionism such an attractive idea to many Jews. If you want a series on post-1948 Israel or Israeli politics, let me know in the comments section. Zionism, at its core, holds that the Jewish people constitute a nation entitled to self-determination in their ancestral homeland, historically referred to as the Land of Israel. But why Israel? And why do many Jews think that they constitute a nation entitled to a state? We need to go back. For thousands of years, many Jews have believed in a divine covenant linking them to the Land of Israel. The exact borders of this land vary depending on the biblical text. Some passages describe it narrowly, others far more expansively. Broadly, however, the Bible situates it between the Jordan River to the east and the Mediterranean Sea to the west. Over the centuries, this region has been home to many different peoples and faiths, and it has been known by different names. For much of history, the general area was referred to as the region of Palestine. In the period between the Jewish expulsion by the Romans some 2,000 years ago and the founding of the State of Israel in 1948, many Jews identified themselves as part of a diaspora, i.e. a community of people who live outside their ancestral homeland but maintain connections to it. They were waiting for the Messiah to lead them back to the Holy Land. Many Jews believed in remaining exiled and learning to adjust to this, integrating. As a result, many Jews, and most Orthodox or traditional Jews, actually opposed the ideology that eventually came to be called Zionism. Instead, they favoured waiting patiently for this Messiah to come. Zionism changed that. Its proponents turned the dream of return into a strategy. It said, we're not waiting for a miracle, we're organising, fundraising, lobbying, moving, farming, building, and yes, fighting. If you're finding this episode interesting and want to learn more about this topic, I've included a link to a reading list about the subject in the comments section. Feel free to take a look. If you choose to buy a book, it helps me. I get a small commission, but you don't pay any more. For many Jews in the 19th and early 20th centuries, Zionism was revolutionary. Anti-Semitism, that old disease that had oppressed Jews in Europe for hundreds of years, was on the rise. Zionism offered something new. Not just survival, but dignity. A chance to be a majority somewhere. To build a safe future on your own terms. Zionism created, or some would argue reacted to, a distinct ethnic Jewish identity. Of course, not everyone agreed with it. Not then and not now. Even some Jews opposed it, arguing that Jewishness was a religion, not a nationality, or a group entitled to a country. Others feared it would stir up trouble in a land already inhabited by a majority non-Jewish population. We'll get to that later, but for now, know this: the origins of Zionism are of a deep spiritual hope. In part 2, we'll look at the crises in Europe that made this spiritual hope harden into a specific ideology that to certain Jews felt necessary. If you want to watch it right now, become a member of my channel. Thanks for watching.